Hello, my name is Maya and welcome to part 2 of a comprehensive overview of Supernatural. You may be asking yourself, how many parts will this series be? And for that, I would say it's about as unnecessarily long as Supernatural was, so do with that information what you will. Before I begin, if you haven't watched part 1 yet, I suggest you go ahead and watch that before watching this video as I explain why I'm doing this, what Supernatural is, and also I rank all the seasons of Supernatural. It's meant to be an introduction into this video series. I do apologize though because I have been told the audio isn't the best on that first video. I am still learning this technology, but hopefully that doesn't retract from any enjoyment of the content. Also, let's hope the audio is better on this one. I think I fixed the problem. One more aside before I begin. I just heard they're making a prequel series to Supernatural called The Winchesters about Mary and John Winchester. You may be asking yourself, was this crazy fan, me, who owns 2 cardboard cutouts, they're not here right now, they're in my bedroom. Long story, blame my landlord. And has hours of footage talking about Supernatural. Excited. Was I excited about this? And the answer is no. No, I wasn't. I hate John. I hate him so much. And I'm really not nuts about Mary. I think if they were gonna make a prequel, they could have picked more interesting characters. We've basically already seen everything that Mary and John, at least for me, have to offer. We already know their entire love story. We've been told it. We know that Cupid, he came down and it was like a big deal that they get together so Sam and Dean could be born and the apocalypse would start. We know that Mary made the deal with Yellow Eyed Demons that made Sam the psychic kid. We know how they met. We know that Mary was a hunter. What else could you possibly need to tell me? Because I know everything I need to know. And maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe that's just me. But to say the least, I was once again just disappointed in Supernatural. And Supernatural, once again, let me down. Of all the people to choose. How about like a prequel about Bobby? Like Bobby and how he became like a hunter and a hunter, I don't know, what was his official thing? He was like a hunter coordinator. Hunter manning of phones, I don't know. Anyways, what about him? What about a prequel series about Cass before he met Dean? Okay? And him just being like all angel, and we can see heaven before the apocalypse, and maybe we can have like hints of them building up to the apocalypse, and then the show can like end as Cass is going down to like save Dean from hell. And you wouldn't even need to get Misha Collins in because Cass has vessels, so you can just bring in other people and you can be different vessels and vessel hop the entire series. Oh my god, it could be like a Doctor Who thing. I've never even watched Doctor Who, but I know the Doctor changes. It could be the same thing. Like the vessel could keep changing.
Hi, editing me. Okay, I thought about this more. I have more to add to this cast show. I propose that we do get Misha Collins in because why would we leave him out? But he doesn't have to play like the vessels because that wouldn't make sense since he's aged. But we'll have other people play the vessels and he will be narrating the show to Dean a la storybook. Because if really Jensen Ackles wants narration, I can give him narration. I'll give him the narration we want. And then they can have little opening scenes with Cass and Dean up in heaven doing shit. Okay? Yeah. I feel this would be good. And they can just have this very long conversation where Dean's like, "Hey Cass, what did you do before when you were an angel?" And then Cass is like, "Let me tell you." And then he tells us. And maybe it can be like an episode of the week kind of format where like every week is a different story of like what he did as an angel, and then we can like expand the lore of the angels and heaven, and we can also expand the lore of making Dean and Cass canon.
Hire me. I have ideas. Anyways, I do hope that you as a Supernatural fan were excited though, because it kind of sucks when I wasn't excited, but I hope that someone else was excited and happy about this news, because that's always good. The second question you may be asking yourself is, will I watch the show? I said I wasn't excited about it, but the answer is yes. I will watch this show. I will literally go to my mom's house every week to watch an episode of the show because I don't have cable and I'm not gonna buy cable for this goddamn show. But I will go and drive to my mom's house to watch it. Use her cable with main characters I don't even like. And yes, I will definitely be salty and angry about everything that happens. But what can I say? Supernatural is my toxic relationship. My long intro is over now. I'm going to do what I promised I would do in the first part of the series, which is introduce the random selection process. Here's a poster board. Wow. It has 20 different topics on it. You'll notice that number 9 is missing, and as I explained last time, that's the season's rankings. So that's in last video. Basically, I just explained the plot of each season, and then I ranked them based on what I liked and disliked in each season. So it's not included right here, but all the other ones are, and they'll be part of the rest of the series. So what I'll do throughout the series is you'll notice there are 20, which is the exact amount that a D20, which is just a 20-sided dice, has on it. So I'm just going to be using a D20 to do the random selection, but I will go through and tell you what the topics are underneath of these before we go into this so you can have an idea of what will be coming up. But yeah, there's 20 different topics. Well, there's 19 different topics now, because we already covered one of them, that are possible. They'll be given out in a random order. You'll see I videotape myself rolling each time, so you'll see what each roll is beforehand. And yeah, I didn't know which order I was going in either, so it was kind of fun to see which order it got. But yeah, now I'm gonna go through and show each of the categories. So this is also color coordinated. So here, the red ones, this is more I would call plot related stuff. So number 1, I had to retape these back on to do this. Number 1 is the main characters. So I'm gonna go through all of the main characters, people that I consider to be main characters, basically. So obviously Sam, Dean, and Cass, Jack, Crowley, and some other people that I added in, but those are the main ones, Lucifer as well. So yeah, just go through and talk about them. Number 5 is the side characters, and there are a lot of side characters. So what I decided to do for this one is just to do a random generation selection system. So basically I just put a list of all of the side characters' names, and I split them up into more important and then less important. And then I just randomly selected a few and talked about them because there's just so many of them, I don't have time. Number 13 is the relationships, and at the bottom I put family, platonic, and beyond that. So for that one, as I specified in the first part of this series, I'm not going to be talking about Dean and Cass's relationship because I'm doing a different video on that. But my main focus for that one was Sam and Dean's brotherly relationship. But I also picked up some random ships from AO3 that I'm going to talk about. So number 17 is the finale. And I just vent and angrily scream. Well, not angrily scream, but I angrily vent about the finale. And for the finale, I'm talking only about the last 4 episodes of the show. Moving on, the pink ones are what I would consider more lore-based. Number 2 is travel and time travel and alternate dimensions. And I'm just going to talk about them and how they were used. And I'm also just going to compare how they were used in the show because I think they were very similar concepts but used quite differently. I liked one better than the other. Number 6, this is really a stupid way to hold the board. I could just move the chair up, but I'm not gonna, is supernatural beings. Just gonna go over all the main ones and then just mention a bunch of smaller ones. But yeah, I'll just go over their powers, what they are, their abilities, how they can be killed, all that jazz. Number 10 is death is a joke. And this is just me ranting about how death is a joke in this show. How no one dies, and everyone gets brought back, and literally puts me in visible rage. Number 14 is magical items. So I'm just gonna talk about, again, similar to the monsters one, I'm just gonna talk about what all the magical items are in the show, and what their features are, what they can kill, all that jazz. Number 18 is where do you go when you die? I'm just gonna explain all the different afterlives that are in this show that they created, and just the features of them and who goes there and stuff like that. Number 3 is the bunker, and I spent hours. I drew a layout of the bunker based on just the context clues that Supernatural has given me throughout the 7 seasons that the bunker was in the show. And also I'm just gonna go over that and also just talk about what the bunker is. If you have never seen Supernatural and you're really confused, the bunker is just their little underground lair home thing that they got in season 8. Number 7 is Ghost Facers. So Ghost Facers had this like mini YouTube series. It was what I like to call the only successful Supernatural spin-off because they tried multiple times but failed. So we're just gonna watch a few episodes of that and then just talk about the Ghost Facers and also the failed spin-offs. Number 15. Oh, I forgot to say what green was. Green was more just like specifics. So this is me just picking out stuff that I specifically want to talk about. They're not necessarily crucial to your knowledge of Supernatural, but they're things that I wanted to talk about. For 15 is the lies, the deceits, and the unresolved conflicts. And this is just gonna be me talking about all of the lies and the deceits and the unresolved conflicts that arose from the lies and the deceits throughout all 15 seasons. I binge watched this show and I cannot tell you how frustrating it was to watch them lie every single goddamn season back to back, and it's like no one learned. I mean, in the later seasons it got better, but oof, it was bad there for a while. Everyone was just lying. It's like you claim to love each other, but you lie all the time. Sneak peek of what I say. Number 11 is G-O-D, which spells God. Basically in that one, I thought what I would do is go through and give a rating to each of the people who attempted to be God throughout the seasons. Because yeah, Chuck was technically God the entire time, but everyone, because Chuck was just so absent, everyone just decided to try to be God at one point, and I thought it'd be fun to rank them. Number 19 is the Metaverse, which, wow. If you've never seen Supernatural, Supernatural is very meta, and it's actually one of the things I like most about it, so I wanted to talk about it. Then the blue is more just like miscellaneous stuff and also more like real world things. So number 4 is Vancouver. If you didn't know, Supernatural is filmed in Vancouver, and if you didn't know, I live in Vancouver. So what I did is I kidnapped my sister and made her go around to a bunch of filming sites and videotape me there. So that's what you get for that one. Number 8, things that Supernatural forgot along the way. Supernatural, the continuity. She wasn't there. And I want to talk about that because, again, I binge watched this show, so it became very apparent after a while. Number 16 is the racism, the homophobia, the sexism, and I think I said a dash of toxic masculinity. I did, with a dash of toxic masculinity. That one's pretty self-explanatory. The show wasn't awful, but it had some moments where it wasn't super great in that regard. Number 12 is the actors. And for that, I decided to be a little bit more unique. I don't know if this is unique or this was just a weird choice, but I just decided to creep on their IMDb's and I had so much fun. Number 20, the last one, is my notes. I have 478 pages of notes on Supernatural. I took notes after every single episode. And there are a lot of episodes in this show, and at times it got a little bit crazy with overanalyzing things. Most of them were Dean and Cass related, to be fair, but it was a little bit extreme. But I did end up playing some like bingo games with my best friend. I made a bingo sheet based on the things I said, and then we like picked the seasons and the episode and then read it, and then if like I said that thing in that episode, then they got like went on the bingo. You know how bingo works, I'm assuming. That's what I did. So that was fun. And also, I mean, it's gonna be really fun to look back on in like 3 years, to go back and like read. Actually, I should do that. I should do like 3 years from now, I should go back and like randomly pick episodes and just read what I said. That would be freaking hilarious, because I got weird and angry and there was so much overanalyzing. It was fun though. I had a good time. It was a good way to interact with the material, and it was a good way to make it like stick in my brain. So there's that. Anyways, so that is basically the random selection system and all of the topics that will be covered. There'll be about, I would say, 3 to 4 topics per video, just because some topics are a lot longer than other ones. So there'll probably be one super long one and then a few smaller ones. So now we'll head on over to previous me. Just gonna roll the dice. I hope you enjoy this episode, and if any of those topics interest you, feel free to stick around for however long this series ends up being. So take it away past me. Okay, I'm just gonna roll it now. What did I get? Oh my god, I can't even see. 6? 6. All right. Okay, so we rolled a 6. I don't remember what's under here, so. The supernatural beings, that's actually a really good place to start. So that's who Sam and Dean are fighting. We're gonna do an overview of all the supernatural beings, or not all of them, because there's a lot. Okay, Sam and Dean fight a lot of supernatural beings. This is a 15-season show, so there's a lot, but I'm gonna try to do the most common ones and go like into a really big, broad overview of the most common of the monsters or supernatural beings, and then I'm gonna just do like a rapid fire of quick like extra ones that were kind of in the show for maybe like an episode of the week kind of dealio. But I wanted to focus more on just like the bigger monsters, like the reoccurring ones, you know? So let's begin. Let's start with ghosts, which is actually the first type of monster that they fight in the show. They do the woman in white as the first episode, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly.
Ghosts are people who died and then refused to go with the Reaper to wherever they were meant to be taken, whether that be heaven or hell. They then proceed to be stuck in the veil, which is between life and afterlife, forever.
Or, I mean, not technically forever, but they could be stuck there forever. In the astral plane, they can't communicate with humans or touch at first.
But the longer they stay there and the more determined they are, they can learn how to manipulate objects and even appear to humans and communicate with them.
There are 2 things that can happen to these spirits of humans that are stuck in the astral plane. Technically, they won't stay forever. So they can either waste away in the astral plane and then they can deteriorate and cease to exist, or they can become angrier and more violent, and then these become the ghosts we see on the show. The ghosts that Sam and Dean deal with are usually the vengeful spirits type, but they have dealt with other stuff like death echoes, death omens, poltergeists, etc. There's many different types of ghosts. I'm not going to go into all of them. This is just an overview of generally what ghosts are.
Ghosts usually remain in the comfort of the veil while haunting someone. However, they can possess people, though it is quite rare. If a ghost is possessing someone, there is usually black ectoplasma.
Ghosts are usually stuck in the location they died, or where their bones are, or the location their tethering object is. Signs that you may have a ghost is flickering lights. I kind of wish my lights flickered right now. That would have been really cool. Damn. Maybe they'll flicker later. Cold spots. Do you have objects moving without your control? Ghosts trying to murder you?
Then you may have a ghost. You can confirm using an EMF unless there's a power line.
If so, Supernatural does have some possible solutions to your problem. First of all, you'll need some salt. I have Kirkland salt from Costco, which I think is better than the salt they use in the show, because it has a little thingy, you can put it on your pasta. They can't pass through salt, and they'll go away if you hit them with salt. Like, they just kind of disintegrate in their CGI-ness, like, just go poof, and away they go. You may also want some iron, because if you hit them with iron, they will also poofy disappear in their CGI-ness, and then they'll usually reappear in some other place of the rundown house that they're conveniently in, usually, or a warehouse. You know, there's so many abandoned warehouses in Supernatural. You have to wonder, like, there can't be that many abandoned warehouses, right? Like, I'm not crazy in believing there just can't be that many. I don't know, maybe I just live in a nicer part of town and I just don't see the abandoned warehouse. But what you really want to do to get rid of your ghost is you want to find their bones and you want to salt them. Could you imagine? Oh no, I think I actually did. It was funny at first, but then I put salt in myself. I'm not a ghost. And then you can salt them and then burn them really dramatically. So basically just be a grave robber and then burn the desecrated bones of someone who's dead. However, burning the bones doesn't always work because they could be connected to some item that they touched during their lives. So you want to do the same thing. You want to salt and burn whatever that object or person may be. And it's really fun because Supernatural uses ghosts a lot in their show. So they have to get really creative with what the object usually is that week. Like at one point, this Italian lady had like ground up her finger and used it as paint in a painting. And I remember, oh my god, so vividly, I just got a flashback. She was like upset because her sexy Italian lover like was sleeping with, no wait, they weren't even lovers. She was in love with the sexy Italian painter man, but he was caught in not her bed, but in his bed with a blonde lady, and she was upset, so she ground her finger up and, oh wait, she did that before him. I think she killed him. She like stabbed him multiple times. But before that, he asked for a piece of her to put in the painting of her. So she cut off her finger and ground it up and used it as paint like a freaking psycho. And then of course she killed him because she's a freaking psycho. Like, who grinds their it was a you know what, I liked that episode, but it was a freaking weird episode too. Another time the object was a woman who was alive, and it was like her organ, like her sister had given her an organ transplant or something. I think it was sister. So that one was fun too because she just ended up conveniently dying in the end. So a problem solved. Sam and Dean didn't really have to do anything that day. They just got their work finished by fate. Other times the object was like something really simple, like a pocket knife or a lock of hair. We also learn in season 2, episode 16, that ghosts can choose to let go and go to wherever they may end up in the afterlife. So that's also something that ghosts can do if you can like communicate with them. Bobby did that too. He like chose to let go and disappear into the afterlife after they burned his, it's the thing you put the canteen? No. Is it a can? No. It's the thing you put the alcohol in. It's like a flask. I should know that. I have a Dean cardboard cutout. So that's the end of ghosts. Let's move on to vampires. Everyone's favorite sparkly beings, except for they don't sparkle. So the vampires in Supernatural, they're basically what you expect from a typical vampire. They drink blood, they have fangs, they suck your neck, or I guess like literally any part of your body to get blood. They are nocturnal and have sunlight sensitivity.
When I was fact checking myself for this video, Supernatural Wiki said that vamps have super speed, and I legitimately cannot remember a single vampire besides, like, maybe the alpha vamp having super speed. I mean, look at this scene. Everyone's a vamp, and no one is running like Edward Cullen. But, like, who am I to doubt Supernatural Wiki?
They are mortal and they are stronger than normal people. They have heightened sense of smell. They can smell their own kind distinctly from humans. They also have heightened hearing, especially when it comes to like blood and heartbeats. They usually live in nests. These nests usually kidnap a child and then raise them within the nest to be their blood bag.
And in some cases, they'll use the blood bag like a lure, like we saw with Alex.
Which just means that their lure will bring victims to them somehow. About halfway through the series, we get introduced to Alex, and she is a lure to this one family, and she lured guys from like a local bar under the pretense of hooking up with them, and then she would like let her vampire family feed on them. So that's kind of how that works. A lot of times the blood bag will have Stockholm syndrome because they were effectively raised in the vampire nest, and believe them to potentially like be their family.
So again, we saw this with Alex, where she was quite attached to her vamp fam.
Vampires can also survive off of like actual blood bags. So we saw that with Benny, who was Dean's vampire friend. And there's also the alpha vampire, and he's the one who was like the first vampire. So all vampires are kind of considered like his descendants. We meet him in season 6 when Cass and Crowley decide they want to slurp up purgatory to supercharge. How does one become a vampire, you may ask? Well, it's pretty simple. You gotta drink a vampire's blood, and then once you drank human blood, it like seals the deal. If you can resist drinking blood, then the cure can be given to you. So the cure is like a Campbell family secret recipe, which is Mary's family, which is Sam and Dean's mom. And Supernatural doesn't give me the ingredients, mostly because I'm assuming they want to have the patent for the future, just in case there is a vampire like outbreak. They can use the Campbell family secret cure, and they can like release it out to the public, and people can pay for it, so we can all be like vampire free, you know? That's why I'm assuming they didn't tell me it, not because they don't know the ingredients. Can't be because they just decided they were too lazy to write the ingredients. Supernatural would never. The show full of so much continuity. Can't even say it with a stern face. Sorry. No, they just didn't write down the ingredients. We know that you need the blood of the vampire who turned you. Look, I have blood vials. This is an example. This is the blood of the vampire who turned me, Edward Cullen. As you can see, his blood is quite normal looking. It does not sparkle in the sun. It's very saddening. So apparently, when you take the cure, you throw up. And then there's a montage of your time as a vampire shown to you so that you can be given plot-related information. Like, say in season 6, hypothetically, your brother Sam, he doesn't have a soul, but you like don't know this. So you're Dean, and you're like on a vampire hunt with your bro, and then he like lets you get turned into a vampire. Like, he stands there and he watches you and he smirks, and so you get turned into a vampire. But luckily, your grandpa, who was brought back from the dead at the beginning of season 6, just to make me personally, I think, mad. I hate when they do that. Yeah, anyways, he comes in with the Campbell family recipe. Such a homie. And then you get this flashback, and you can see that Sam was standing over there and he was smirking as you were getting bitten. And you're like, oh my god, what is wrong with Sam? So then you call your BFF Cass, and he's like pretending he doesn't know what's wrong with Sam, even though he's the one. Oh my god, it's ridiculous when we talk about it. Even though he's the one who pulled it from hell without a soul. Gas. Anyways, so yeah, I can give you plot-related information, which is, I think, the most important thing about the cure. The most crucial thing. The cure is also quite painful, too. Dean did not look like he was having fun. He was taking the cure. So, how does one kill a vampire? I think that's why we're all here. You may be like, well, Maya, I know how to kill a vampire. I've seen every vampire movie. I watched Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, and to that I would say, good for you. Francis Ford Coppola really did something there. He did. Anyways, it's not a stake through the heart. It's actually decapitation in this show, which is fun because they just get machetes and they go boom, and their CGI's heads fly off every time, and it's fun. Sometimes they do like coordinated choppings.
Just in case anyone wanted the actual visual of head being chopped off, here you go. And I used a very special clip. Yes, this right here is Dean's death scene, because technically, with the help of Rebar, the vamps do kill Dean Winchester. So I suppose, like, they are the superior supernatural being, according to some idiot writers.
Also, you can use dead man's blood to like incapacitate them. It's kind of like a poison to them, which I actually found really interesting. I thought it was a good, like a nice little concept they added. And for the alpha vampire, you want the famous Colt, the gun I hate the most. You want her. She has magic ass bullets. Werewolves. Werewolves are fun. So, werewolves are pretty similar to what they usually are portrayed as. They turn on the full moon.
They don't transform all the way into a wolf or like half wolf thing. They just have, like yellow eyes and wolf teeth.
Werewolves lose control of themselves when the full moon occurs, and they may not remember what they did. They enjoy eating human hearts. That's usually when Sam and Dean roll up in their fake ass FBI outfits, and there's a corpse, and heart is eaten out. They're usually like, must be a werewolf. But sometimes it's not a werewolf because we need to like throw you off the scent, you know? We have another monster of the week. He also eats hearts. Whoa. Werewolves also have heightened senses of smell and hearing, obviously. They're a lot stronger than a normal person, the usual. Being turned into a werewolf usually requires a bite by a werewolf. You may be wondering, if there's a vampire cure, is there a werewolf cure? There is a werewolf cure, but the British men of letter are guarding that secret, and they appear to have taken it with them to their grave because, well, I guess Ketch knows, but he also died. So yeah, the British men of letters took that to their graves. Thanks, guys. But they cured Claire, so it's fine. So the only real twist that I think Supernatural actually adds to the werewolves is that there are such things like pure blood werewolves, and they can change at any point, not just during the full moon, and they are more in control of their werewolf urges.
So, for example, we meet Kate in the show in actually a really good found footage episode in season 8. Anyways, she gets turned into a pureblood werewolf.
And she has never eaten a human heart. She survives consisting of like packaged meat. So it's more common for purebloods than just like a regular werewolf, because regular werewolves are not as in control as a pureblood is. And now what else are you wondering? If there is an alpha vampire, is there an alpha werewolf? The answer to your question is yes, but we never get to see him. Such a tragedy. Where is he? I don't know. Why we never get to see him? We abandoned the alpha plotline, so one singular tear. They like teased it, and then it ended up being like a skinwalker. And I was like, damn. I didn't talk about how to kill a werewolf. Silver bullets will do the trick. Anything silver, basically. Okay, let's move on to shape shifters. So now we're kind of moving into the territory of like supernatural, kind of almost made up. They kind of took a spin on a traditional lore and kind of made it more their own for the show. So shapeshifters are kind of disgusting.
When they change, they shed their skin and they leave behind globs of blood and skin everywhere.
It is like probably one of the most disgusting things in the show. Like the show is supposed to be horror. I've never really been that scared. There's been a few times where I've been a little bit scared, mostly of like the ghost ones, because I kind of have a little like irrational fear of ghosts, but because I don't even like believe they exist, but irrationality. Anyways, shapeshifters can turn into anyone they meet or anyone they see in a picture. So we see this in season 13 when they go to that shapeshifter therapist, and she changes into Jack's mom, Kelly, who is dead, but Jack just shows her a picture, and she's been doing that for other people to like help them with their grief. That is also one of the ways that they're able to like get to their victims, because they can change into someone that victim loves and will like easily gain access to wherever, like that person's house or wherever they need to go. They can easily change into that. So it makes killing easy for them if they really want to be killers. So one actually frames Dean for like multiple homicides, which I think is fun because it makes him like a wanted serial killer by the FBI for a little while there. And then the show's like, nah, let's move on. So I guess we'll just move on. How can you tell that you're dealing with a shapeshifter? Well, silver, much like for the werewolves, silver burns them, so you can like pretend to get them to hold like cutlery. So in the show, they're always like, here, touch this silver fork, or like they'll switch out the cutlery if they think they're dealing with a shapeshifter. Like when they first met Adam, their half brother, they like thought it was a trick, so they like switched out all of his cutlery with silver, and then like we're really disappointed when like he just touched it and started eating his food. Anyways, yeah, they just grab a silver fork and they're like, here, touch it, in like very unsubtle ways, if you ask me, but it works. Also, their eyes flare up on camera footage, so you know I'm not a shapeshifter. Eyes aren't flaring. Also, they do leave the disgusting piles of goop, so that is another way to find them. They're usually more in control of their actions than, say, like a werewolf or a vampire. So usually when they do end up going bad, it's kind of more of a choice. So like you can have the nice shapeshifter therapist in season 13, or you can have a crazy boyfriend who's trying to kill everyone. You have to be born a shapeshifter, which means that you cannot become one, unfortunately, if you really wanted to be one.
So Sam and Dean actually take care of the alpha shapeshifter's kid in season 6, and Sam was using the kid as bait so they could get to the alpha shapeshifter.
Which, you know, Dean was kind of like, this seems suspiciously not like my Sammy. And that should have been the first red flag, Dean. He doesn't have a soul. Cass messed up. He like meticulously put you back together, but he like couldn't care less to grab Sam's soul. Cass, your feelings are showing. There's actually a lot of morality surrounding whether you should like kill them at birth or not, because you don't really know whether they will be good or bad. So it's kind of one of those monsters where there's a bit of morality. It's not super explored in the show, but I think it's kind of where they missed out. Let's move on to the Jinn. So this is Supernatural's version of a genie. The Jinn, their game plan is usually to trap a person in a fantasy world in their mind and then feed off of their blood slowly, draining them until they die. It's like super fun. So Dean gets trapped in this little fantasy world where like Mary had never died in season 2. And he's like, oh my god, me and Sam, we're not close because we don't have hunting. This is a bad fantasy, gotta get out. Power of brotherly love can do so much in this show. Don't you forget that.
A Jinn is tattooed and they glow sometimes.
Their blood can cause hallucination. They're basically just like hallucinogenic drugs in person form, which is really fun. There's another variation of a Jinn that I call Super Jinn that can like feed off of your fear. This is in season 8 when Charlie is trapped in the simulation of her fears. It's like a video game. So how does one defeat a Jinn? You need a silver knife and you need it to be dipped in lamb's blood. Let me demonstrate. I will not dip it because these are too poor, but I am going to pour this for some reason because props. Woo! Oh my god, okay. Now I can kill a Jinn! Oh my god. I wonder if Sam and Dean get their lamb's blood. Don't really think I want to know, but now I have to claim this. Was it worth it? I don't know. Was it worth it? They seem to be having fun. Also, like you want to be able to like snap out of the fantasy they put you in before you die in that fantasy, because remember the Jinn's outside and he's got a little blood bag. He's freaking draining you of all your blood. There is an alpha Jinn. See what's happening? I don't think you can become a Jinn. I believe it's hereditary, like shapeshifting. I actually think they're quite rare and like quite reclusive too. So I actually really think that the Jinn, though not maybe the most used monsters all the time, because they are meant to be rare, so that makes sense. They are one of the more creative monsters that Supernatural have used in the show. I think that they really took the genie-inspired myth and kind of put their own personal spin on it, and I actually think that it was like decently well executed. And I don't really say that very often about a lot of spins that Supernatural puts on stuff. Now we're getting into the fun ones. Let's talk about demons. I would call demons the main supernatural villains of the show, like as a whole, like the main monster of the week, or like the main used villain. Like obviously the overall villain is Chuck, but you get my point. So from season 1 to 15, we are dealing with demons like multiple times a season. We were expanding the lore on them, and then we're getting to know more demons as time went on in the show. So like we had a lot of demons. We had Mag, we had Ruby. Crowley was a main character for a while, and he was a demon. So they really like went into the demon stuff a lot, and it started way back in season 1. So demons are humans, so you can't become a demon. So they're human souls that went to hell and then became corrupted throughout the whole like torture and then become torture deal in hell. If you are bad on earth, you may go to hell and become a demon. Goals, right? I mean, Rowena's clean now, so it sounds fun.
Demons appear as black smoke when they aren't possessing someone. Or if you're Crowley and you're just like extra and special, you have red smoke.
So demons can possess humans against their will. You can prevent this by getting a sweet tattoo on your body, which I am now gonna draw. I'm a horrible artist, and I'm using dollar store face paint to draw it. So this should be fun. Okay, so we're gonna do a, oh my god, circle. It's gonna turn out and then we have to draw like the little pentagram star thing, which I don't know. Proceed to draw horribly. Oh my god, why can I not draw today? Oh my god, it kind of looks like a star. I'll do that. And then you put little sunny things. Woo. This is just going great. This is exactly how bad I imagined it to be. Oh my god, I can't even see on this side. Okay. Oh my god, I'm like turning my arm in such a weird ass way. Whoop, de whoop, de whoop, de whoop. Yeah! And there's like another little circle in there. Now, no demon can possess me. My shittily drawn anti-possession tattoo. That's what it's called. It's a very creative name. Wow. We don't have this nifty, amazingly drawn anti-possession tattoo, which Sam and Dean obviously do. It's like right there, and they always rip it down. They're always like, here, see my tattoo. And you're like, okay, bud, gotta put my plaid back on, you know? Anyways, so if you don't have this amazingly drawn tattoo, then you can be possessed. And humans are usually partly aware or kind of not really aware at all of their possessions. Like usually it comes back kind of as like hallucinations, different types of cognizant, different type of people, basically. Usually most humans actually don't survive the possession process because like usually their body will get harmed beyond the point of death. For example, Mag's first vessel, which, don't worry, it was a hot white girl. Mag's first vessel got like fell from a high story building.
When Sam and Dean they exorcised Mag from her vessel, the vessel ended up dying because she was in excruciating pain with a broken body.
Because she had fallen from an extremely high height and should not have survived, or at least shouldn't have survived without extreme damage. But of course, Mag is keeping the body alive.
Because demons can keep a vessel alive even when they are dead, it's the same for angels. We saw this when Belphegor possessed Jack's dead corpse.
Or, you know, maybe the demon wasn't even the one that did harm. Sam and Dean just go around fucking stabbing them, so, like, maybe they'll just get killed by Sam and Dean anyways. You don't have to even, like, get damaged by the demon. Just stabbed by the Winchesters. What a way to go. You'd really be, like, a superstar, you know? Like, you go to hell and they're like, how'd you die? And you're like, the Winchesters killed me. And you're like, oh my god, the Winchesters, the celebrity hunters. Oh my god, girl, what was it like? What was it like being their victim? Everyone wants to be their victim. And everyone wants to kill them, but I think there would also be some honor in being killed by them, you know? Demons are pretty strong, and they, you know, they can just ditch the person they are possessing and go back to hell if they like fear dying, so it makes them a lot harder to kill. They also have like the telekinesis powers, so they can like push people around and like hold them up on walls for dramatic effect. So demon's blood, when given to a human, can give them demon-style powers. So we saw this with Sam. He had psychic abilities. We also saw this with the other psychic kids. They were given demon blood as a kid, and so they had demon blood in their system, and they were able to develop certain psychic powers based on that. Sam was using like telekinesis, and there was a bit of some like seeing of the future. And then if you like drink more demon blood, then the powers that you have will become like more amplified.
When Sam was in his Sith Lord phase, he was able to exorcise a demon out of the vessel just with his mind.
It was actually pretty cool. I miss Sith Lord Sam. He was fun. However, the downside, which we did see with Sam, is that you can get extremely addicted to demon blood. That was his addiction, basically, for a bit of the show. You can get a demon out of a person if you're like not Sam, or I guess Jack too, but you can get a demon out of a person they're possessing by doing your like little exorcism chant, which I was going to say, but I don't feel like butchering Latin right now, so I'm just not gonna. You must complete the entire exorcism chant or it won't work. But you can also have like multiple people say the chant, so you can like do a little pass off. So you can also trap a demon in a devil's trap, which I am now going to once more draw on my body for visual effect, you know? Let's see. We're gonna do a little circle. We love it when it's a circle. Oh, look, another star. That's super fun. Okay. Oh, I started that way. It's just messing me up. There we go. Yeah, this one's a little bit wonky, but she's got spirit. And then there's squiggles inside, which I don't have the fine-toothness to make better, so voila, a devil's trap. If there was a tiny little demon, you'd get stuck right there. You couldn't leave. And I'd be like, haha, I have a demon on my arm. My favorite thing about the devil's trap is that the demons get like more and more aware of the fact that they are drawing these, so they have to like hide them. So they'll put them like on the ceiling or like under a rug, and it's like, ooh, sneaky. They like spray painted on too. They also carve them onto bullets, which means they can like trap them into place by like shooting them in the head, which I actually think is fun. You can kill a demon using a demon knife. You can also kill them using an angel blade or the cult. Cult is always a classic. You can kill anything with, well, not anything. 5 things you can't kill. And there's also like mention of demon bombs in season 8. Kevin said you can make them. Kevin's a prophet. We never saw them again because he never passed on the recipe before he passed on. Just kidding, I really miss Kevin. Oh wait, there's more. You can also find a demon's human bones and you can burn them. Like salt and burn them like a ghost, and they will die as well. I like permanently die too. So they're also affected by salt. Good old Kirkland brand salt. Costco, thank you for protecting me. There's this one part where like Dean's torturing Alistair, who's like the head tortured and Hal, and he's like shoving salt down his throat, and I was like, damn, Dean, boy knew how to torture. I was kind of impressed. But he was like all sad about it, so I was like, tears. Oh, and iron, they're also affected by iron as well. Because they're like kind of like ghosts. They're close, but they're not really. Another thing is that holy water burns them. I'm gonna now make holy water. I have here, this is a very special rosary to make by holy water. It's a Papa Francesco rosary. You may be like, Maya, are you Christian? Are you Catholic? And I'd be like, no. But I do stand one Papa Francesco. Of course, when I went to Italy, I needed to get me a rosary, which I have not used once. But lo and behold, when I bought this, I feel so holy. I feel so holy, holy, holy. Oh, look, it's Jesus, Lord Jesus Christ. And there's a little picture of Papa Francesco on there. I haven't even opened this to see it. Anyways, when I bought this in Italy years ago, I did not think it would have a use. No, I bought it for the clout of having a Papa Francesco rosary from a little cart next to the Trevi fountain. But now I have a reason to have a rosary, so that's really fun. So you just plop it in the water that I was drinking. This is probably not great for the water. Now, holy water. Oh no, it's like turning it red. Oh my god, holy shit. Oh my god. Okay, well, the water's, oh no, the beads are, oh my god, okay, well this was a bad idea. Papa Francesco, this is a cheap ass rosary. This could not stop a demon. Oh my god, the beads are running, okay. This went horribly wrong. So PSA to anyone who bought, I need water now. PSA to anyone who bought a Papa Francesco rosary from a random ass cart in Italy, specifically Rome. Don't put it in, oh no, there's like red drips on the ground. Don't put it in water. We learned something today. Fucking hell, that's disappointing. Anyways, you can, obviously it burns them, so if you want to test if someone is a demon, you can just plop some, like, give them like some holy water in their drink or something. So they usually carry around a little flask and it's full of holy water, and they like drop it in people's drinks if they want to test them, right? So my favorite example of this is when like Dean put a bunch of holy water in like every single wrestler's shot at one point when they were like during that wrestling episode, and he like insisted on needing to do every single shot like with the wrestlers so he could check everyone. So he like literally checked like so many wrestlers and did so many shots, and then was like passed out drunk in the bar. But we forgive him because Cass was possessed by Lucifer and he was very upset about it. So you can also cure a demon, which involves pumping them full of like purified human blood. This right here is my purified human blood that I went into confessional to purify my blood. Good old-fashioned confession will give you purified blood.
So we saw this when Sam was doing the trials in season 8 to close the gates of hell, and he was pumping Crowley full of his purified blood to cure him of his demonhood.
And he went to confessional, and he confessed all of his regrets about how he treated Dean. Oh, poor Samuel. And obviously, like, if the cure doesn't go all the way through, we saw that Crowley actually got addicted to human blood, so that's really interesting there as well.
Demons have a multitude of different powers, like super strength, but the most prominent, for me at least, is their telekinesis-like powers.
Another way to detect a demon is that their eyes will conveniently turn black in a scene. So, like, if we're entering a scene and there are, like, a bunch of people we don't know, it's lovely because the demons will just, like, boop, their black eyes, and you're like, oh my god, demon! Because they're like smoke inside a person, so the smoke can just, like, appear in their eyeballs. It's a fun little CGI effect they have going on there, but that's also another way you can figure that out. You can say Cristo, and they'll flinch. What Supernatural doesn't remember. So why should I? They also have to wear black, like either a suit or leather. So that's how you identify them as well. Just look for the person wearing a leather jacket or a black suit, and it's most likely a demon. You can also put up some warding to stop a demon from entering your dwelling. And I was gonna draw those, but nah. You can also summon a demon, and you need like a bowl, but usually they use cooler bowls.
And then you just need to dramatically throw some stuff in the bowl and light it on fire. What stuff? Semantics. We're here for the bromances, not an ingredient list.
So let's look into the semantics of being a demon in the supernatural universes. So there are many different jobs available to you as a demon. Yes, the job market is plentiful. You can be a crossroads demon who makes deals with humans for their souls. So much fun. You know, like how Dean made a deal to bring Sam back from the dead, trading his life for Sam's, and he had like a year to live. We love that. Usually they seal it with a kiss. Very sweet. They're usually 10-year contracts, but of course, Dean's a Winchester, so we need him out of there immediately. And then, once your contract's due, a hellhound will come and drag you to hell. Woohoo! I don't know why I sang that. Yes, the tragedy of being dragged to hell by a hellhound needs to be sung in a sing-songy voice. So it is very important for demons to be pushing these types of deals because hell needs to have souls, to have like power, and also to have demons, because remember that demons are just human souls. But you know, if you're not really a smooth talker like Corelli, you don't really think you can muster out some deals, don't worry, you can be an administrative demon. I just gave them the name administrative demon. These are just the lackeys that Crowley bosses around. They seem to run the day-to-day workings of hell, keep track of like the soul quotas and stuff like that. They're usually the ones in the black suits. You can also be a torture demon like Alistair. So that was the head torturer in hell. He taught Dean everything he knows about torture. Such a fun apprentice master little thing going on there.
You can also be the king or queen of hell, like Rowena, who is currently queen. Good for her.
Or Crowley, rip, who was king before him. I guess Lucifer as well, but I'm gonna talk about him. But Rowena wasn't a demon, but you know, she had the spirit, you know? She was just meant to be queen. Like, I believe it in my soul. But there's more. There are also princes of hell. This is like the yellow-eyed demon, aka Alistair. He's the one who killed good old Mary and started off our entire show, so thank you 15 seasons of Supernatural, Alistair. You really gave us something. Then we have Asmodeus. He was like Colonel Sanders, basically. Then there was Ramiel, and there was Dagon. Dagon was fun. Oh my god, Dagon burnt the cold. I kind of stand her. Thank you. Yeah, so Princes of Hell, they're like Lucifer's first demons created after Lilith, who is like the original demon. She's the demon, you know? Yeah, and they were made to fight heaven. They were made to fight the beautiful angel wearing a taco necklace. They're pretty hot shit. And they're also in line for the throne too, so we got some royal drama going on. What I love about the most about the Princes of Hell is that they were like basically hiding and chilling for most of the series, like besides Alistair, aka the yellow-eyed demon. We didn't really see a lot of the other princes until very much later on in the series. I mean, they were like just super powered demons basically. They're either yellow instead of black, which is where the nickname yellow-eyed demons come from. Get it? You see what I mean? It's just imagine a demon, but like more powerful and more indestructible. So like we needed a more powerful force for Sam and Dean to fight because they just keep killing demons. So we brought in super demon. They can be killed using the first blade, the Lance of Michael, and the Cult. Of note, normal weapons like demon blades don't work on them. There's more than just the Princes of Hell. There's also the Knights of Hell, which were created by Lucifer, and they were trained by Cain. Yes. The Cain of Cain and Abel. Yes. The first murderer. And then Cain, he went and like killed all of them because he found love. So he just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be a bad boy. I want to be a husband. So he just murdered all of them. But we do meet Abaddon, and she was like kicking around in season 8 to 9. She was killed in season 9 by the first blade. So they're once again just kind of like stronger than normal demons, basically. But they're not as strong as Prince of Hell. So they're like somewhere in between. So it would be like Prince of Hell, Knight of Hell, run of the mill demon. That's like the higher. And just like our good old friends, the Princes of Hell, a Knight of Hell can be killed by the first blade. Probably the Cult, but we never actually got to see that. And, you know, probably some like other magical object, but we really only got to meet Abaddon, and she was killed by the first blade. So that's really all I can give you on that. And also, like, Cain killed all of them with the first blade, so I'm just assuming the Cult would also work on them. Angels! Let's talk about angels. Alright, so let's go talk about my favorite angel. No, we're not actually going to talk about Cass right now, but let me show you my favorite angel. him. He's an angel. Well, he's an angel for most of the series. He's like human in season, first half of season 9. So, angels were created by Chuck to protect humanity. And they'd be like, hey, who the fuck is Chuck? And I'd be like, hey, that's God. He just prefers to be called Chuck. Yes, it's weird. We're gonna talk about it later. Anyways, they were created to protect humanity, but instead they wear trench coats and try to start the apocalypse to get God's attention and have like 2 civil wars in the span of like 4 years. They're kind of a hot mess. Angels are servants of heaven, and they were built without like emotions. Or they're supposed to kind of be like emotionless. They are just meant to follow orders without question. Except for my little rebel back there. He fell in love. He got feelings. Ooh. Feelings for Dean. Same though.
Angels' true forms burn your eyes out unless you are one of the special few beings who can see an angel's true form.
And when they try to like speak, it sounds like screeching. If you're a human. So according to Cass, he's like the size of a skyscraper. So good for him, you know. But she had a pretty big dick. You could have had that, Dean. We see them enter and exit bodies using a white ethereal energy, which in this video will be presented by marshmallows. Why? Because this was the only thing I found that I could find that was white and cheap.
Hi, editing me here. I don't know what happened, but I deleted the footage of me talking about what I was going to do with the marshmallows. So now we're going to do it here in this little voiceover. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat a marshmallow every single time that I talk about an angel gulping up a grace in order for me to become the most powerful angel by the end of this video. Luckily, I still have the marshmallows left, so I'll just eat one now for posterity's sake. And that is it.
They don't have genitals in their true forms. This is something I noted mostly for my Demon Cast video, so you're welcome for that little tidbit. And I don't think that they prescribe to like normal genders and like sexualities, if you will. But yeah, you'll see that like angels will kind of possess any vessel, no matter the gender. So much like a demon, they do need to possess a vessel in order to be on Earth, like interact on Earth. But the difference between a demon and an angel is that a demon can just possess anyone against their will, but an angel needs permission. The vessel needs to say yes in order for the angel to possess them. Yet somehow this stipulation doesn't really prevent Sam and Dean from both being possessed when they really don't want to be. So they have some cool powers. They can like burn your brain from the inside of your head. They like touch your head and it goes and your eyes like burn out. They used to be able to fly around, so like effectively teleportation, but they like fell from heaven, not because of Cass, he was tricked into it, and they lost that ability. But Lucifer can still do it, and Jack, who's a Nephilim, can still do it. So like, but Lucifer's an archangel, so let's do it.
They also have healing powers, which I think is Dean's favorite power, or at least Cass will literally take any chance to touch Dean.
The amount of times that Cass has healed Dean, it's good content, is all I'll say. They can also bring back people from the dead, but this power has always kind of been a little bit unspecified to me. I don't really know what the time parameter is, and it feels like they kind of lost that power about halfway through the season. So I remember like Gadriel. Was Gadriel an archangel? Archangels can definitely bring people back from the dead. Not 100% certain on the regular angel. I don't think so. If they could, they lost that power in the fall. They can time travel, which is also another power that they lost in the fall. Though we see that Lucifer can still time travel in season 11 when he's possessing Cass.
They can manipulate the human brain, so Cass was able to comb through Donatel's mind, who is a prophet, to the point where he put him in a coma.
Cass was also able to erase Lisa and Ben's memories of Dean. Lisa was Dean's girlfriend for like a minute there. I think Cass was pretty happy about getting rid of that relationship. No, I'm kidding. He's pretty chill about that stuff. They can also appear invisible to people around them. Like in season 6 when Cass was just like spying on Dean, and Dean didn't know. Dean was just like raking his leaves, and Cass was having like a crisis, and Crowley was like, "Hey, bro, here you're having a crisis and might want to team up." They can't be harmed when they are stabbed or shot with anything except an angel blade or an angel bullet, which is basically just an angel blade melted down and put into bullets, basically. And also, you know, the first blade and the Colt as well. I mean, we have our usual supreme blades that can basically harm anything. There are some other random items like Michael's lance and the Archangel blade, but obviously the Archangel blade can only be used by an Archangel. There is also an exorcism chant for angels as well. That's pretty much how you can deal with an angel. But why would you want to kill a beautiful angel? Because they're kind of dicks. They have smiting power. Yeah, angels have smiting power, which I think is freaking hilarious. Like, I guess it gives humans like this smiting sickness. And like the one time we kind of see the smiting power is against Amara, who is like God's sister, so she's very powerful in season 11.
And Dean gets affected by the smiting sickness because he wins smiting rage. And Cass comes like rushing in, and he's like playing doctor with Dean, and Dean is like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then Cass is like, "I'm gonna take your temperature," and Dean's like, "No, you're not sticking your finger in my mouth." And we all cried because we wanted to see him stick his finger in his mouth.
And I'm like, you know what, Cass, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. You know, you really just like put yourself out there. You said, "I'm gonna try to stick my finger in Dean's mouth." You didn't get what you wanted, but I appreciate the effort, you know? They also have angel radio, so they can like all communicate with each other via telepathy. They also call each other brother and sister, which I think is really fun considering there's some like weird sexual tension between Cass and Hannah in like season 10. My favorite thing about the angels is that they can be hacked into via screws in their heads, and you can like reset them to factory setting mode. So they have like this thing they put around their head, and they can like screw around and make them like talk a Nokia or put them in certain settings. And it's so funny. You can also like make them do what you want via this hacking method. So like we see this when Naomi hacks into like Cass's brain and makes Cass do what she basically wants him to do. Angels get their powers via their grace, which is apparently stored on their neck, like right around here, I would say. And the fun thing about the grace is that you can like extract it and you can store it somewhere. You can let it go in nature. Or my personal favorite is you can slurp it up into yourself. And I feel like I'm gonna regret this by like the 4th marshmallow, but I will commit. You can like slurp it and like gain that angel's powers. So a human being, I'm not a human being, I'm an angel. I'm eating angel grace. Oh my god. A normal human being cannot slurp up an angel grace and survive. But other angels and archangels and Nephilims can. Nephilim is just a part angel, human. On top of that, Michael in season 14, he actually made this like fun concoction where he could like have monster angel hybrids. Also, when you extract an angel's grace, they do become human. So this happened to Cass in season 9. And then you can also track an angel using their grace. There's also warding you can put out to keep angels away. And yes, I will be drawing it. Oh my god, look, it's fading. I have Olivia Rodrigo's new song stuck in my head. It's freaking good. It's like a circle. Like an arrow in it. Come down there, and then like this semicircle here. And then like usually you draw this in your blood, and then you just like you use your blood and go boom, and then the angel just zaps away. It's not technically warning, but something on it. Yeah, anyway, so that's the angel zap away. There's also warning you can put up, but we'll only draw the angel zapper because it's used more often. You can pray to angels. If you have faith, your prayer will go through. I really, really liked it when Dean prayed to Cass. And I am very upset that they kind of underutilized that in the later seasons. Well, for that prayer apology in Purgatory. That's pretty dope. I literally have no idea what angels' jobs are. Like, I don't really know what they do in heaven. Like, was Naomi an administrative worker. What exactly do they do in heaven all day? They're not really like protecting humans, you know? Like, I think the only one who ever did that was Cass, and he was protecting like 2 humans at most. So just a little side note, I don't really know what angels do all day.
Moving back to what can stop an angel, so there's also holy fire, and that can be used to trap an angel in one place, and you like draw a circle of fire.
Or you can burn them if you want. I don't know, you can be like sadistic about it if you want to. Also, they can read and speak Enochian, which is like the language that originated from angels. We have the normal angels, and then we have the archangels. So that's like Gabriel, Michael, Lucifer, Raphael, the elite squad. You are just like vastly more powerful than a regular angel. They're hard to kill, and you may need an archangel blade, as I talked about before. Or you can just use Jack. Jack can just like disintegrate angels, and you can like extract Michael from Rowena, and then like kill him and like slurp up his grace. Look, it's me slurping up Michael's grace. Yeah, so archangels are basically just like that OG powerful army that Chuck created. They're also the angel spin-offs. So we have the Cupids and the Grigori. Cupids make love matches. They are requested by heaven. So for example, Cupid, they met in like season 5, explained how the matchmaking process of John and Mary, who are dad and mom to that boy over there. Boy, he's like 40. To that man over there and his brother, Sam. Apparently that's extremely important because they're celebrities. They're basically what you expect from a Cupid, except they like aren't flying babies with arrows. They like can look like anything because they're just an angel that can take on a vessel. They're like considered lesser angels. And there's the Grigori, who are like the angel bodyguards, except they like went rogue. Grigoris feed off of humans, and they can also heal humans. One of them kidnaps Claire's mom at one point, and that's like the first time we meet a Grigori. Apparently also, if you're Jack, eating a Grigori heart can like supercharge you so that you can become a bomb to blow up Chuck and Amara, God and God sister. Light in the dark. In order to kill a Grigori, you need a Grigori sword. Probably also like the cult, and maybe like an angel blade, but I only ever saw a Grigori sword, so. Oh, I guess Cass did use an angel blade, so. Well, we didn't see the cult, but we can just assume the cult. Okay, so witches. Witches are, in my opinion, the most interesting supernatural being to look at because they just don't, Supernatural just really didn't know what they want to do with the witches, and they just kept upgrading the witches. And they just threw in a bunch of random witches. And then they just kept upgrading the witches up until the point where like Rowena, who is a powerful witch and Crowley's mom, is like one of the most powerful beings in all of Supernatural universe. Which I find really interesting. And I find this really interesting because you start off the show with like suburban mom witches. Anyways, so there are 3 types of witches. There are the borrowers, who harness the power of a demon to practice witchcraft. This is usually done through a deal with a demon. The naturals, who are born with magical powers. This is what Rowena is. She's like the main witch that we know throughout the show. She's like uber powerful. And then there's the student, which is a witch who doesn't have any natural ability and just practices a lot and is able to like be powerful in witchcraft. This was kind of what Sam was becoming near the end of the show, though they never really explored it that much, which I think was kind of a bad move on their part. I think they should have explored that more. Then, as I mentioned before, there's just like a bunch of other random ass witches on the show.
So one time there was the witch from Hansel and Gretel, and they pushed her into the oven. Woo.
I don't know, honestly, to me there were really no rules with the witches. Like I feel they just wanted magical beings and didn't care beyond the fact that like Sam and Dean could fight and kill them that week, you know? So we had the witches from the Coven, the Grand Coven. Oh, sorry. Witches form covens. Like the Grand Coven is the big kahuna, but you know, anyone can make a coven. I mean, Rowena tried to make a coven, but she couldn't make friends, so I would join her coven. Honestly, witches like can do just so much in this show. I have seen Rowena's use hex bags. I've seen Rowena come up with a spell to bring someone back from the dead. I have seen Rowena close a rift in hell. She's like uber powerful. The sky's the limit, okay? With witches, they can basically do anything. Rowena's also immortal. She has like this power storage thing where like if she gets killed, then this like surge of power will go through and reincarnate her. It's one of the best ways they bring people back from the dead, and trust me. There are so many fucking ways they bring people back from the dead. So a lot of their power does come from like written spells, but you can also just like create your own written spell, because we like see you're going to do that. There are also like spell books like the Book of the Damned or the Black Umar. Alright, let's move on to Reapers. So Reapers work for death, and they are meant to guide people's souls to the afterlife when they die. So Reapers aren't visible to humans unless they want to be. They're pretty powerful, but an Angel Blade will kill them, no problem. They can also be trapped in a Reaper trap spell. And I guess, would Demon Blade go? I don't know. Probably. They work to keep the balance of life and death in check, which is why they hate the Winchesters, who literally refuse to follow the rules of life and death the entire 15 fucking seasons of the show.
They're some of the only beings who have access to all the different realms, so they can go to heaven, hell, purgatory, the veil, and the empty, presumably. And they can go to Death's Library too, so very exclusive club there.
Speaking of death, if say Death were to be killed by Dean in season 10, and then say another Reaper would be killed by Cass in season 12, guess what happens? The role of Death is basically assigned to the next Reaper who dies. You can become Death, like Billy. You can get that upgrade if you're the first Reaper to die after Death dies, basically. Which is so much fun, because I feel like they had to put in that rule because they killed Death, and then they were like, oh my god, wait, we can't just kill Death. It's fucking Death, guys. That was supernatural. And then, obviously, the power of love will kill you. Billy? Okay, and then we have the gods. I think the gods are the worst supernatural beings that Supernatural utilizes. Supernatural is very much a Christian style lore show, hence the angels and the demons. But for some reason they still wanted to use gods from other religions and mythologies, but they always fail. Now, I'm not educated on a lot of the different gods they use in the show. So like, for example, there's like they had this meeting of gods in season 4, and they had Kali, who's from Hinduism, and some other people too. But I don't really know anything about Hinduism, so I really can't speak on the accuracy of the portrayal of her as a god. What I can speak on, as a Percy Jackson kid, yes, that's right, I'm going to flex my Percy Jackson kidness, when they used gods, Greek gods a few times, and that one time they called Kronos a god, even though he's a titan. And let me tell you that some of the worst episodes of Supernatural, in my opinion, is when they bring gods. They don't do their research. Supernatural doesn't do their research, and they always end up doing a horrible job. Why was Kronos portrayed as this love-struck time traveler who could be killed by a stick? Like a fucking stick. Listen, Percy, you didn't need to do the entire Battle of Olympus. All you needed was Sam and Dean and a fucking stick.
Or like that one time they implied that Artemis was in love with Prometheus.
Artemis, the sworn virgin goddess hunter, who formed a gal pal squad and was allowed to be infiltrated by men. That Artemis. Really? Really? They also tried their hand at some Norse mythology once again, but once again I don't really know a lot about Norse mythology. All I can say was that it was an interesting choice to have Gabriel, the archangel, look exactly like Loki. Here's the thing about the gods: they don't make a lot of sense within a Christian style story because there is a Christian god. Okay, we meet the Christian god. There's heaven and hell. And they attempted to explain away this plot hole with some shitty exposition in season 15 by saying that humans created gods by worshipping the sun or something. And so Chuck just let them live, and then he got jealous, so he got rid of them. And it was like, wow, thank you for that shitty explanation, Supernatural. It still doesn't make a lot of logical sense. On top of that, the gods are literally killed so easily in the show. It's almost laughable, okay? All you really need is a piece of stick, maybe with some blood on it or something. I can't do it. I literally can't do it. I hate when they bring gods in. It actually makes me so mad. Let's move on to something I actually like. Nephilims. So Nephilims are the child of an angel and a human. They are apparently quite powerful, and angels can sense when they are coming into being. My favorite thing about Nephilims is how they made Jack super powerful, who, to be fair, is Lucifer's child, so he's going to be extremely powerful. But they also had this random ass Nephilim that Cass killed in season 8 to close the gates of heaven, and she was really not that powerful. Though I don't really know who her angel dad or mom is, so I can't really say. And apparently Nephilims are considered unnatural, and they are usually wiped out by angels before they can reach maturing age. because they are like a threat.
Which I guess makes sense because Jack was like literally so powerful. Like this boy could disintegrate angels like it was nothing.
This boy could open portals to alternate dimensions. This boy could push people back with like his sonic powers. This boy could teleport. This boy couldn't be killed. This boy had healing powers. This boy could make fucking angels. This boy became God. This boy literally, he was literally so beautiful. This boy was literally so beautiful. He was literally one of the most powerful beings in the universe, and he was being raised by Sam Dean and Cass. So that was a bold move. Let's talk about the Leviathans. Leviathans were trapped in purgatory because they were dangerous to humans, and then someone wanted to be God and gulped them all up, and then couldn't handle the power and released them all into the world through the water supply of this random ass small little town. Logic. Oh, I shouldn't say world, I should say America, but it's technically just like the world, so you know, American. Leviathans can also possess bodies like angels and demons. They don't have to ask permission, just like demons. Leviathans have like a full face of teeth and can eat themselves, which I think is very bold of them to put into that show. They can shapeshift by touching someone and getting their DNA, but apparently they can also shapeshift into the clothes the other person is wearing, which I must say is a very amazing talent. I just have to give it to the Leviathans.
They are pretty much indestructible, but they do have a weakness, and it's sodium peroxide, which is commonly found in cleaning products, and it like burns them. And it's just so stupid.
Yeah, even if you like decapitate them, they will put their body back together, so you have to like cut them into little pieces and bury the pieces far away from each other, which was my suggestion. Or like maybe burn their body pieces separately kind of dealio. You can also kill them by getting a righteous bone, fallen angel's blood, vampire blood, and demon blood. Then you can just stab the head honcho Dick Roman, and they all go back to purgatory. But don't stand too close to them, or you too will go to purgatory. They know that. Apparently also when they die, Leviathan flower blooms, and you can use this to make yourself a handy dandy Mark of Cain that can trap, say, a god. Say the god. So the Leviathans were only really in one season fully. They were the villains of season 7, and their whole plot was to slay the population of North America by infiltrating the supply of Sucrocorp, which specializes in corn syrup, which is like junk food. So they put this special concoction into the corn syrup that makes humans easily controlled. It's basically just like being stoned. And then also super fat because they want to eat uncontrollably. They were also going to distribute this creamer, which was going to make all the people with like fast metabolisms who couldn't gain weight die. To like thin the crop, you know? They were going to enslave, breed, and eat the population of North America. It was a weird plot, and I know that it was supposed to be a metaphor for the meat industry, but the execution was poor, and we didn't really learn anything. Like, Dean complained, once or twice about eating a vegetable, and then went back to loving meat. So, like, what was the point? What was the point? Okay, this is probably already way too long, so let's do a quick rapid fire some other monsters. There was Eve, who was the mother of all monsters. There were the fairies. There was Akana, who was like your childhood imaginary friend. There were the Wendigos, who were like people who turned to cannibalism and lived in the woods. There were the psychics, and they could see into the future. There are also the psychic kids, and they had demon bloods coursing through their veins. Like, I was gonna point behind me, but Sam's not there. There were also the Tulpa, which are supernatural beings conjured by people believing in their existence. There were the seven deadly sins, but they immediately got killed. We had the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, you know, death, pestilence, famine, and war. There were the Rougarous, or like carnivorous humanoids. There were the sirens, who became whoever that person desires, so they could just get close to them and then use their saliva to manipulate them into doing what they want that person to do. There were the prophets, who could read the word of God and also got sent visions of the future from heaven and shit like that. So we had like Donatello and Kevin. There were those angel monster hybrids in season 14 that Michael created, Michael the Archangel, yes. There were the Stein family. They gave me visceral rage. I don't want to talk about them. There are also skinwalkers, who are basically just humans who can turn into an animal. There are also dreamwalkers like Kaya that can go between alternate dimensions. That's not even the comprehensive list. So just trust me, there were a lot of monsters. Okay, let's do another roll. 18. Right, so we rolled an 18. Where do you go when you die? Alright, here's the thing about Supernatural. They don't really like to keep things simple. In most shows, there are 2 places you go when you die. That would be heaven and hell, right? Some places add purgatory if they want to have some fun, but Supernatural said, no, listen, we need 5 options, and we need to have Sam, Dean, or Cass visit each place at least once throughout the entire series to show just how they conquer death. Let's start with heaven, shall we? My boy's home. So we get introduced to the concept of heaven around the same time that we get introduced to the angels in season 4. Throughout the rest of the series, we get to visit heaven and learn more about it. So when you have been good, a good human, and haven't made a deal with a demon at any point in your lifetime, you will most likely make it to heaven. Congratulations! What does Supernatural heaven entail for most of the seasons?
Well, you basically get to live through your memories, revisiting your happiest times and getting to live through them again and again.
As humans, you may not even be aware that you have died and gone to heaven. The angels are trying to keep you complacent. Each human has a door where you can enter their heaven loop. The door says your birth year and death year. You will most likely be alone in your heaven loop, but some people are soulmates and they get to spend their heaven loops together. Apparently, John and Mary were soulmates. That checks out. They were soulmates and being bad parents. And traumatizing their children. Which brings me to season 5, episode 16, where Sam and Dean share a heaven loop and they get to see each other's happiest memory highlight reel where they try to find Joshua, an angel, in the greenhouse of heaven, which is just a pop of color in a very white heaven. Anyways, they find like a way to jump through your heaven loop, like finding the road. The point that I want to make about that episode is that we get told that soulmates get to be in the same heaven loop. So does that mean that like Sam and Dean are soulmates? I mean, they would have landed in their own personal heavens, right? If they weren't soulmates? Food for thought. Not in a shipping way. Not in a shipping way. I don't want to be seen as a Sam and Dean shipper. Now, continuing. You as a human should not be able to find your door and open it. But if you were, say, a Nephilim or an angel,
you can, with ease, peruse down a long white hallway
and maybe jump into someone else's heaven for a while. Now, the rest of heaven that doesn't house your soul is, well, it's white. It's just very white. It's all white decor. I get that they are angels, but oh my god, maybe just like a pop of color every once in a while.
Yeah, the rest of heaven is like a white high-end office building. That's how I would describe it.
Like they have a pretty lame white throne room, which just looks so uncomfortable. They have conference rooms, some office rooms. I mean, honestly, I don't really know what the angels do all day, but I assume they just sit around and read gossip columns on Cass and his little human. But yeah, angels apparently do power heaven, so like you need to have angels in heaven. This becomes a problem in season 14 when, thanks to, I'm sure, Sam, Dean, and Cass, especially Cass, sorry babe, the angels are going to are going extinct and heaven is dying. So how can you get to heaven without dying? Well, first you only need angel wings, and then after the angels were locked out of heaven by Metatron, they created a sandbox entrance, and so now you can enter heaven at a random sandbox in a children's park. And I think that's really fun because I never see any kids there, like never, in this abandoned ass park. Is it abandoned? I don't know, it looks pretty good to me. Like, why are there no drunk teenagers at night to witness Dean and Cass fighting for like the 8th time that week? Okay? Why? Oh my god, but wait, guess what? I forgot about the remodel. So I haven't got an upgrade because new management is in town. Jack, assisted by Chaos, has created a brand new heaven where you can interact with everyone. Everyone's heaven loops are open to others. It also looks a lot like Earth. So you know what? Good job, Jack. I really liked the initiative taken there. I liked the way they did heaven. I think that the reliving of memories is a good concept, and I am all down for Jack's open floor plan for heaven as well. I think that the funniest part of heaven is that, like in season 6, Cass is all like, "This is civil law in heaven," and you know, we don't really see much of heaven in season 6, but like when we do see heaven, it's just like a bunch of offices and long hallways. So like, where are they fighting? Are they fighting in the hallways? Like, I know we don't see all of heaven, and I know that they are doing some fighting on earth, but like, can you just imagine like these thin ass white hallways, and they're just like fighting each other in these like small hallways in their trench coats? Let's move on to hell, the spicier version of heaven. Alright, so if you've been a bad bitch in life, or you made a deal with a demon, you will be going to hell. Hell is super fun because the lore kind of changes throughout the seasons. Let me explain. When we first tackle hell, it's with Dean's Crossroads deal. We find out some information in season 3, like how demons are souls that went to hell and got corrupted. We meet hellhounds, which are used by Crossroads demons to drag people to hell when their time is up on their contract.
We learn that there is a cage in hell that houses Lucifer, and that's what he initially escaped from at the end of season 4.
When Sam accidentally starts the apocalypse. We learn some more when Dean comes back from hell in season 4. We learn that there is a time difference between Earth and Hell time. So Dean says that he was in there for like 40 years. 30 of those he was tortured, and 10 of those he was torturing. He was a righteous man who turned to torturing, and then he got told that by his angel boyfriend. And then like in the real world, it had been like 4 months since Dean died on Earth. It's almost like a 10-year per month kind of thing. In season 6, Crowley shows Cass the waiting line feature of hell, where the souls just like wait in line for all eternity, which honestly sounds like the worst punishment ever. So good on you, Crowley. That was very creative.
Then also the earlier season hell is like a hallway with a bunch of dungeons. That's what it looked like when Sam went to go get Bobby's soul in season 8.
To like bring him to heaven as one of the trials to close the gates of hell. There's like this gothic feel about it. It looked like a green screen blackness when we saw Dean in hell in season 3. In season 11, when we get to hell to visit Lucifer in his cage, the hell is like a gothic castle. That's how I would accurately explain it.
In season 15, we even get to see the main foyer of hell.
And we get to see Queen Rowena's throne room, which is way cooler than Heaven's throne room. So the point I'm trying to make is that they changed the design of hell about halfway through the series, and I think the problem arose when they had Crowley, who was the king of hell for the longest amount of time throughout the show, and he was just ruling out like an abandoned psych ward. So they never really went to hell, and then they got like an increased budget, and they were like, oh my god, Gothic Castle guy. But like, you know, whatever version of hell you are visiting, I'm sure you'll be tortured and then forced to torture and then become a demon. So, you know, who cares if the architecture's different? So how does one go to hell without dying, you may ask? Well, the first way is to find a back door in purgatory. The second way is to find the actual door on earth.
And the third way is a spell that requires a bunch of ingredients, including a piece of someone who has been to hell. Luckily, everyone in the goddamn room has been to hell.
Also, if you are an angel, such as this beautiful man, you can just zoom down with your wings, well, pre-season 9, and you can just yank your boyfriend out, and your boyfriend's brother. But you forgot a soul cast. And if you're a demon, you can just like leave your vessel and like smoke and peace out. I think the later seasons, they really lost the concept of hell. Like, it was no longer a scary, torture-filled place. It was like hard to infiltrate and part of your nightmares. What it became was a day trip if they needed something. We also never really talked about the semantics of hell after season 4, even though we were following the King of Hell. We were rarely in hell, and Crowley just had like bureaucratic meetings about getting more souls. The minutia and everyday running of hell was present, but like it was glossed over. Like, we know the importance of getting souls and making crossroad deals, but like, how come no one ever talks about how the torturing is going? I don't know. It just kind of lost its scariness, and by the end of the show, it was just like a gothic version of heaven. Everyone was even using angel blades. The astral plane. So, say you're dead, right? And this Reaper comes and is like, okay, I'm here to guide you to heaven or hell, but you are stubborn and you don't want to leave. Maybe you want revenge. Maybe you don't want to leave a loved one. Maybe you really wanted to watch the series finales of a TV show. Whatever your reason for staying, you will be stuck in the astral plane as a ghost. The astral plane is fun. It's basically the dimension between life and the afterlives, and the Reapers collect souls from there. But souls can also roam around. So this is like where the ghosts are, right? So if you stay long enough in the astral plane, you can manipulate the world around you. It takes a lot of concentration and practice, and it can wear out a soul, do things like that. We see that with Bobby when he tries to appear to Sam and Dean in season 7 after he dies. Anyways, the souls who have conquered these techniques have usually been in the astral plane alone for a long time.
Angels and demons can also chill in the astral plane, unbeknownst to humans.
I think the portrayal of the astral plane is the most consistent they have been on the show. The guys enter the astral plane quite often. Yeah, so like they go there when they're dying, and the Reaper's always like, time to go, and they're like, no, I'm done for information, which is like, I'm gonna come back. And you can just see like the Reapers are so freaking over it. The fucking Winchesters, am I right? I think it's honestly just a good concept, and it really actually explains where the ghosts come from, so I think that was a really good way to like add to the lore. Purgatory. Now, for all my monsters out there, here's where you're gonna go when you die. A forest in Vancouver with like a gray light filter over it. I actually found that it's like a paintball place. So now, Purgatory, in my opinion, is the least explained out of all the places you go when you die. We know who goes there. We know monsters, so like vampires and werewolves. Let's not forget the Leviathans, that's their OG place of origin. The entire place is just one big forest, and the monsters just run around like crazy, killing each other, and like apparently if they die in Purgatory, they just like cease to exist. So Purgatory is just like one big Hunger Games, right? So if you are not a monster, how do you enter Purgatory? Well, the first way is to stand next to a Leviathan when he's exploding. These guys know this. The second way is to procure a rogue Reaper who will sneak you in because they can enter all the afterlives. The last way is to get an Archangel to open a portal for you. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
How does one get out of Purgatory, you may ask? Well, there's a portal inside Purgatory that dumps you out in the middle of nowhere.
And only humans can go get out of there. Dean got out of there using that. The other way is to be Naomi and find a way to get Cass out. Here's my thing with Purgatory. First question. Is the timeline the same in Purgatory? When we go there in season 15, it would appear that the time does run the same in Purgatory because Dean has like a cell phone timer, but also like the timeline in Purgatory didn't really fit with the timeline outside of Purgatory, like Sam and Eileen's plotline with Chuck. But honestly, that may have just been bad writing, so I can't really chalk it up to that. So then like if the timeline is the same, then Dean and Cass spent a year there. It took Sam like an episode to find the portal, but it took Dean and Cass and Benny like a year to find the portal. Yeah, I don't know about that. That really doesn't like add up.
Another thing that confuses me is that Dean was technically still alive when he went to Purgatory. He was just transported via Dick Roman's death.
How does like hunger, thirst, and bathroom needs work in Purgatory? What about sleeping? Did Dean need to sleep in Purgatory? Like, I know he said he prayed to Cass every night, but like, did he mean every night before bed? I know that Cass and Benny are like fine because they don't need to do those things, but like, there are no animals in Purgatory. Like, I didn't see a single squirrel. So what is Dean eating? Unless he's eating corpses. Oh, I didn't think about that. Did he resort to cannibalism? Find out next week. There's also like this one creek in Purgatory, and like I know Dean wasn't near it because that's where Cass was. And he was trying to find Cass for like an indeterminate amount of time. Like, I know it kind of ruins your little TV show to like talk about the semantics, but like, does Dean not have these needs in Purgatory? Like, it's really never explained. And if he truly was there for a year, he would be dead because you can't live longer than 3 months without food. And let's assume he actually did have access to the creek. Like, that would be 3 days without water. And that, so like 3 months generously if he did have access to the creek. But he'd be super weak and he was going around like killing people. Like, so he'd probably just get killed by like a vampire or something. Or like a Leviathan, you know what I mean? On top of that, like he'd probably be like sleep deprived and fatigued because he's like constantly fighting all the time. Listen, I freaking love Purgatory. It's like one of my favorite places on this entire show. But it has so many potholes. And I just don't know the answers and it keeps me up at night. Last, but certainly not least, we have The Empty. And it's really fun.
It's like this black green screen and there's inky stuff everywhere, and it's ruled by a cosmic entity who is sleeping until Cass woke it up via Jack waking him up.
So basically, if you are an angel or a Nephilim or a demon, you're going to be empty when you die. Apparently, you are asleep and reliving your greatest failures on loop, or like something like that. It's basically like hell for angels and demons. How does one get to the empty? So you could be an angel or a demon or a Nephilim who dies, or you can be death. Death can get you in as well. And that's pretty much it. It's a very exclusive club, which is why it's the only place that Dean and Sam haven't been to. That should tell you how hard it is to get in and out of there, because they go everywhere. Hi, guess what? I lost the rest of the footage for this segment of the video. Very upset. I think Supernatural is trying to silence me, so now I'm just gonna refilm different background. I filmed stuff earlier and then things happened, but I'm just gonna refilm this portion. So yeah, we'll go right ahead. So how does one get out of the empty? Well, you can annoy a cosmic entity into letting you go, as Cass did. You can be brought out by death, as Jack was. The thing is that they say that God has no domain over this area, but like he brings Cass back so many times in the earlier seasons. It's a kind of a plot hole, you know, so the cosmic entity can say God has no sway, but how did Cass get brought back? Also, Lucifer was brought back from the empty by God in season 15. Do you see the problem?
And even Death made a deal with the empty to get Jack out of there. So how many deals did Chuck make? Come on, you can't tell me he made and kept that many deals. Look how the empty acting when Billy schooled her.
Another way that you can like get a soul from the empty is you can perform a spell that requires a bowl, Jack's blood, Nick's blood, and some fire, and then voila, Lucifer can come back from the empty. Yeah, it's that easy, folks. What the fuck was that spell? No, like it literally required nothing but blood and fire. How is it like that easy? The cosmic entity who rules the empty can also come to you if you are in heaven, hell, or death's library. It cannot come on Earth unless someone like Cass saying he loves Dean. Look, the empty added some flavor in season 13 when it was introduced. However, it came so late that the semantics of it don't make sense. They tried their best, so like A for effort. It didn't make me mad. Well, except for when they used Meg to be the meat suit of the cosmic entity. Just let her be dead, okay? I don't want to see her in the show ever. So who decides where you go when you die? Is it God, Chuck himself, or I guess it's Jack himself now? No, apparently it's Anubis, you know, like the Egyptian god of the dead. Why is he a go-between for a Christian death system? I'll never know. He gets brought in season 14, episode 8, when Dean, Cass, and Sam are trying to bring back Jack from the dead, and they contact Lily Sunder, who was trying to kill Cass in season 12. She's able to draw on powerful magic by burning her soul off, and she's like, I want to go to heaven to be with my daughter, but I know I'll be going to hell. And so she makes a deal with Dean and Sam that if they can get her into heaven, then she'll help them bring Jack back.
So they summon Anubis, and he has this fun little balance thingy, and I'm sure like it has a real name, but I'm not gonna look it up.
Anyways, it weighs the good and the bad you've done in your life and determines whether your soul will be sent to heaven or hell. At the end of the episode, Anubis kind of hints that people choose their own fates based on like guilt and regret and stuff like that. The fun thing though is we never see him ever again. Wow. Such a supernatural thing to do, to like introduce something huge to the plot and then just like never talk about it ever again. Love that. You know what the best part of all these places you can go when you die are? Well, there are so many alternate dimensions, and apparently an alternate dimension version of like each of these places, which is never explained. Like there's one God, one Amara, one Death, and one Jack, but multiple of everyone else, so there must be multiple heavens and hells. What about purgatory? Are there multiple purgatories? There must be, because we never encounter any of the weird monsters in Apocalypse when we're in purgatory. There has to be multiple astral planes, right? Because each alternate dimension would have their own one. This is never explained. Like, did Chuck have to create a new heaven, hell, purgatory, and astral plane for each new alternate dimension he created? Like, that seems like just a lot of work. Do you think he ever created like different afterlives? Do you think in one dimension there's like he had everyone go who dies like go to like an underwater heaven? Or like what if he had instead of angels in one alternate dimension he had like cows be the angelic figures? I wonder what Squirrel World is like. You know, what is Squirrel World afterlife like? Do you think the angels and demons are also squirrels? Or what if he did like a world where the demons were the angels and the angels were the demons? You know, like the angels ruled hell and still wore trench coats, and the demons ruled heaven and still wore black suits and leather. I think about this a lot, I guess. So that's the end of that. Now we're gonna go back to the pre-film footage.
Okay, let's roll in 11.
We rolled an 11. G-O-D, God, Mr. Chuckles, Mr. Jackie. Let's talk about God. So the funny thing about this show is that there's like only one God throughout the majority of the show, Chuck. But because of his absence, there are just a bunch of angels who like try their hand at being God. So I thought it would be fun to look back on the rulers of heaven that we saw in the show and give all the gods, whether real or self-proclaimed, or they just happen to be in charge, a rating out of 10 on how well they did as God. Let's start with Chuck. Okay, so he is the OG created the universe. He literally is God.
He likes to go by Chuck though, and he's played by a white dude who looks like a middle-aged dad trying to be cool, but failing.
When we first meet Chuck, he is pretending to be a prophet and publishing supernatural books. He dates Becky, a crazy fan of the supernatural universe. He doesn't really help with the apocalypse. He does give a guiding hand in the background, though through his prophetness. He then disappears from the show. But don't worry, he comes back to see his books being performed at a play in a high school in season 10. I mean, priorities, right? Like, who needs to be God of the universe when you can watch your supernatural fan fiction be created into a play that is basically just a supernatural fan fiction? So he like officially comes back in season 11 because his twin sister, Amara, wanted to be like Jaime and Cersei Lannister. And he was like bored, so he decided he just like wanted to do that for a while. He was kind of a dick, and he's pretty useless. And I swear, he was literally doing everything in his power to make Dean angry, which makes sense because he's technically the villain of the show. He made up with Lucifer, only to ditch him, which caused a temper tantrum that gave us Jack, so thanks, Jack. We find out this man has created a bunch of different Earths and alternate dimensions. Then he just destroys them all because Sam and Dean wouldn't follow the story. Oh, that's right. He's literally insane. The powerful creator of worlds and rules. God, you know, the God is obsessed with Sam and Dean. Turns out he tunes into Supernatural every week, just like us fans. Just kidding, that wasn't me. I binge watched. And at some point, I honestly felt Chuck on like a deep spiritual level, you know? Anyways, turns out he's been controlling Sam and Dean and making their lives hell for his own entertainment because they are his favorite TV show. Yeah, it gets real meta. I'll talk about that later. So when Dean wouldn't do the whole parent-killing child plotline with Jack, like he planned, he threw a tantrum and killed Jack and then opened a rift to kill hell. Open a rift to kill hell. No, open a rift to hell. Listen, we know where Lucifer got the temper tantrums from, okay? Obviously, it's hereditary. But you see, your temper tantrum, Chuck, killed Jack. And that's just not cool.
He then gets hit with his own magical gun that he created so that Dean could kill Jack.
And then gets connected to Sam, which I'm assuming was his own personal hell. But hey, at least they didn't get connected to angry Dean. Fun fact, Dean was also throwing a temper tantrum at this point too. But, you know, his mom has died, so I guess I can forgive the temper tantrum. Then Chuck just spends some time trying to manipulate Sam and Dean to do whatever he wants to again, but like he just keeps failing, and he takes a trip to Earth 2 and enslaves this Radio Shack employee. He's finally defeated by his own hubris when he decides to when he when he decides to punch Sam and Dean a bunch of times instead of just smiting them using his power. Oh my fucking god. Sometimes this show really fucking gets me. He is then dethroned by Jack and forced to live like a human. I never saw him do any sort of ruling though. As God, when he was God, I never saw him do anything for the angels or heaven. He really just chilled with Sam and Dean, and he only cared about Sam and Dean. I don't think he ever answered a single prayer that wasn't connected with Sam and Dean. Side note, it is extremely bold to make your main characters the main obsession of God. It's really bold. Anyways, Chuck had this whole thing going where like he wanted the ending of the show to be either Sam or Dean like kills either one of them, so like either Sam kills Dean or Dean kills Sam kind of dealio, because like one of them went evil. And honestly, I kind of wanted that to happen. Like I felt a little bit cheated in season 2 when they built up Dean having to kill Sam because he went evil, and then that like never happened. And then they never really brought it up again, even when Sam was technically evil. So I kind of agree with him on that point. I really like those endings. But he was, like, honestly, Chuck was a pretty lame dude. Like, that's the only thing I really agreed on. And every once in a while, he'd, like, get really frustrated with Sam and Dean, and I also would get really frustrated with Sam and Dean, so I understood that point, too. Also, like, in this universe, he's technically supposed to be seen as, like, the writer of Supernatural, so he was also, like, a pretty bad writer. I'm sorry. The British Men of Letters. Fucking Leviathan. Really, Chuck? Also, he played a guitar at random moments, and I wasn't super down for that. He shirked his responsibilities as God and manipulated Amara. Also, he just never did anything of usefulness. Like, bitch, why didn't you stop the apocalypse? Bitch, it was Dean's motivational love talk that got Amara to stop, not you. Like, be useful. You're literally God. He was very lazy. I know he wanted Sam and Dean to, like, struggle for entertainment, but, like, literally step up, okay? I give him a 2 out of 10. Would not recommend for the God position. Let's move on to their adopted son, Jack. I only briefly saw Jack be God. He was very ethereal and he seemed enlightened. He made a speech that made no sense to me, mostly because I was just like so over it at that point. But I was loving his vibe and the energy he was putting off. He says he wants to be a hand of God. Okay. He sees the value of humanity because he was a human and he has 2 human dads, Sam and Dean. We know that he brought Kaz back from the dead and they renovated heaven together. So he's stepping up, you know? He did more in 6 months of his rule than Chuck did, like, all of his rule. I trust Jack as God. He is a good boy and he has Kaz as well. So, 10 out of 10. I expect great things for the world. Well, at least the supernatural world. The real world really could use Jack right now. Like, maybe the hands-off technique isn't working so well. Then we move on to Cass. Self-proclaimed God of 1 episode. Cass. He swallowed a bunch of souls from purgatory and then supercharged and said he was God. Then his vessel couldn't handle it and he blew up. But he did spend 1 episode as a God. So he goes and he smites some gay hating churchgoers, which we respect. He goes around and tells people he's God and then goes a little insane and just kills people. He then turned to Sam and Dean and asked for help upon realizing his mistakes. He made a bunch of promises to make it up to Dean. Just Dean. I was there. He only said Dean's name. His rule was messy, to say the least, but I still think he did a better job than Chuck, because at least he took the initiative to make some changes. I give Cass a 3 out of 10. I would choose him over Chuck. Let's move on to Metatron. Metatron was God's scribe, so he really had like the first-hand knowledge of Chuck's ruling style. Metatron was kind of smart, and he understood more about being God than Cass did. Metatron understood the power of stories and how Chuck ruled as God through stories. He attempted to write his own stories to manipulate Sam, Dean, and Cass, However, they weren't as well crafted, so he could kind of fail. That being said, he knew and understood his opponent's motivations very well. He pegged Cass as being motivated by Dean from the get-go and was able to use that as a way to get Cass to like lose his entire angel army. He really just said, Dean, angel army. I choose Dean. That being said, Metatron, he
made the angels fall from heaven in order to craft a plan that would make him the ruler of heaven because he could get them back into heaven.
Which I kind of thought was smart. He did use the angel tablet to supercharge in order to have godlike powers to secure his rule. He was able to manipulate the angels into following him. Where he failed was his hubris and his villain monologue to Cass in the end. He really needed to gloat to Cass about how he like manipulated the stupid angels, and then he like ends up being in prison by the angels because like Cass hit the the megaphone option on like angel radio, and so everyone could hear. All the angels could hear about Metatron's deception. But then he was imprisoned by the angels and his reign came to an end. But I give Metatron a 5 out of 10. I think he knew what being God entailed, and I think he had enough cunning to pull it off. He was just an egotistical little rat, and that was his downfall. I wouldn't want him as God, but I think he'd do a better job than Chuck and Crazy Cass on the edge of blowing us up. So, Lucifer. Bet you didn't see he would be on this list. Well, unless you watch the show, then you know. Now, Lucifer actually has a resume that has ruling experience on it. He was the ruler of hell. So you'd think that as the ruler of hell, he would have learned how to rule properly. No, he sucked. He really sucked. He was God for what, like an episode or two, and it was part of his existential crisis, bleeding powers, lost my child phase in season 13. He didn't do anything, like sucked and then failed. He lied about being able to make angels. Listen, he was the worst god out of all of them because he literally did nothing, and it was so pointless and stupid. Just lounged on a horribly uncomfortable looking chair. He also had drama with his grace-sucking buddy. I mean, marshmallow in a while. Let me just suck up Sister Joe's grace. And he also just complained about how everyone hates him, but loves Chuck, and it's because Chuck created a narrative around him that makes him look bad. 0 out of 10. I literally don't want Lucifer to be God. I'd rather have Chuck. The angel bureaucracy. Let's be real, throughout most of the season, the real God is the angel bureaucracy. Angels have like a hierarchy within themselves, but I feel like after the apocalypse that really changed. And so began the on and off rule of the angel bureaucracy. Angels like Naomi or Duma or Hannah fall in this category. The angel bureaucracy basically tries to keep heaven running and attempt to establish some sort of peace among the angels, as well as desperately wanting God back. The angel bureaucracy has been in like 2 civil wars, started the apocalypse, though that was kind of more like the archangel bureaucracy, I guess, is almost extinct, and managed to lose all their archangels. That being said, the angel bureaucracy came through in the end and managed to get heaven running enough that the souls were going there, and I'm assuming the paperwork was being completed on time. The angel bureaucracy is not the best because the angels are not meant to be leaders. They were built to be followers. So like they're always looking for a leader or an angel that does become a leader and sucks. That being said, I think they were trying their best, and it probably didn't help that Sam, Dean, and Cass kept killing all their angels. I give the angel bureaucracy a 7 out of 10. I think they are the second best option to be God in this universe. Behind Beautiful Jack, of course. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this part. The next part will probably be out in the next few weeks. This one took me just a little bit longer to get out because I was in the middle of midterms. I'll see you next time. Bye.